welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T. Shroom, in for Tim. He's going to be joining us tomorrow and the rest of the week. But as for today, you are locked in with myself and Crux. We're going to be getting into some cryptos that may be on the sell list for you coming up soon. We're going to tell you why, and we're also going to get into a couple of stories that are breaking. We're going to get into it on the other side of the intro. Bros, smash the like button. Consider subscribing. Let's get it. He is the one and only Crux of Crypto. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, T-Shroom. This is at least here in El Paso, it's a beautiful morning. It might look a little bit different out there in Florida, and we'll get into that conversation here shortly, but it's always a great day. It's another day in crypto. These markets are turbulent, but, T-Shroom, Tim, and I, we're always here to bring you guys the alpha.
That's
and
right.
How are you doing, T-Shroom?
I appreciate you asking. I am doing better than I deserve, I must say. Yesterday we were down in the Space Coast of Florida, and today we evacuated last night, and we are now quite a bit north. I don't know if anybody watching has ever heard of Gainesville, but we're up here, kind of close to Gainesville. If you let this play here, you can see that the storm was going to go right through where we were staying down in the Space Coast. So we went ahead and we got out of Dodge, as they say. But let's go ahead and jump on over to the crypto bubbles. You all didn't tune in for a meteorology summary of the weather down in the southeast United States. You tuned in for crypto. So let's get into it here. Aerodrome seeing a nice pop, up 6%. Eigenlayer, they're up 5.2. Hexcoin really getting slaughtered this morning, down 11.2%. Tau down 6.3%. And a lot of others are no. I have to say, the markets are pretty mixed. It looks about 50-50. Maybe the red is a little bit more prominent here. But overall, Doge up 3% here. Phantom up 4%. You have some winners that are actually making decent ground, Aerodrome. But then you also have a good amount of coins that are lagging. SEI having a pullback here of 7.4%. Link down 3.8%. TIA down 4.8%. Behind me, can't see it. Pith down 3.7, right? So, as we know, crypto is volatile, so it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down. But right now, in the early hours of Wednesday, October the 9th, the market has not really decided which way it wants to go. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here and see what we can't pull out. That's going to give us some indication of which way Bitcoin's going to go. As I predicted, Bitcoin is going to remain sideways. It's going to continue doing what it's done since March, except in a restricted range. Now, I've been seeing a lot of big accounts kind of giving zero evidence, but saying that we should be breaking out soon for Bitcoin. I don't know. We'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Of course, I do believe that it will happen eventually, but I do think that we have to have an event that is coming on November 5th, and that is the U.S. election. I think until we get to that event, I think you'll see Bitcoin stay within this range here, 65,000, call it, and 60,000. Maybe even dipping down to 58, and maybe even getting back up to these local highs that we got here around 66.5. So that's kind of what I'm expecting here. If you're a Bitcoin trader, if you're a crypto trader, those are somewhat the levels and the expectations that I would think. Now, it should be good news, right? If you're a trader, you might be thinking, oh, less volatility. Yeah, but you do have a pretty well-defined range, I would say, to kind of go ahead and trade. Trying to time the bottoms to buy and trying to time the tops to sell. So, again, I think the market is just waiting for that November 5th date. And a lot of folks get confused. They think, hey, is Donald Trump winning? Is that going to be bullish for Bitcoin? And Kamala winning, is that going to be bearish for Bitcoin? I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think both candidates have come out and at least said with their lips that they are pro crypto, pro Bitcoin, and I have I have my biases on which candidate I want to win, right? But overall, I do think that in either case, I think that Bitcoin and crypto will be bullish on the other side of the outcome. So T-Shroom, then why is it ranging? I think it's ranging because the market has just general uncertainty. There's a lot of money that's waiting to go into huge global expansion projects, and that money is just waiting on the sidelines to see which candidate gets in and which project is going to be more favorable from a regulatory standpoint, from a global liquidity standpoint. And some of that money is going to flow into crypto, into Bitcoin. It's also going to flow into Microsoft. It's going to flow into Amazon and equities on the U.S. stock market side. So that there's a lot of analysis to get into there. But today, we wanted to jump into some stale cryptos. We're going to be talking about cryptos that may not have a place in your portfolio anymore. And who better than to run us through this list of stale cryptos than Crux of Crypto? I want to throw it over to you. Let's jump on over to your screen, my man.
All right. I'm sharing my screen. You want to put it up? All right, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I want to set the scene before I jump into this conversation. We talk about stale cryptos. We talk about what I personally like to call legacy cryptos, legacy coins. This means that they are not in their first bull cycle. So, in crypto, we have these 4-year cycles, 2017, 2021, and hopefully 2025 will all be they will look very similar. Now, with these going into the 2017, these are the top 10 plays in 2017. You have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Litecoin, Cardano, IOTA, Dash, NEM, and Monero. And what I want to really point out is, once you make it into the top 10, it does not mean you're going to stay there. Again, once you make it into the top 10, it does not mean you will stay there. In 2021, these are the cryptocurrencies that made it to the top 10 whenever Bitcoin peaked out. You have Bitcoin, Ethereum, you have some new cryptos in here that are, stable coins like Tether and USDT. I went ahead and added the top 12 just to keep those, keep the top 10 like feel on it. You have Solana, Cardano, XRP, Polkadot, Dogecoin, Shiba, and Terra. So, we're already starting to see that some of the cryptos from 2017 are no longer, at the peak of the 2021 bull cycle. And then now the current top 10, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, Toncoin, Tron, Cardano, and Avalanche. Now, if we're looking at 2017 top 10 to the current top 10, the only 4 that remain are Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and ADA. So there's 6 other cryptos. We talked about NEM, we talked about Dash, and some of these other cryptos from 2017 that are no longer really relevant at this point. And I'll go further detail here in a second. But then from the 2021 bull run peak, we already have 3 cryptos that are no longer in the top 10. It wasn't that long ago. We have the ones that are still in the top 10 from 2021 is Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, ADA. We got Solana, Doge, and BNB. So now we currently have Avalanche, we have Tron, and we have this new crypto called Ton. And these are the type of trends as an analyst that I'm looking at is how does legacy cryptos play in the fastest changing, sector, financial sector, of digital currencies? How do legacy coins compare in relation to the new hot trendy cryptos? So yeah, that's really just setting the stage is, I'm actually very bullish on cryptos that are in their first bull market because of this. And this is mainly because the more bull runs you go through, you set resistance as you go up, this bull cycle. Mm-hmm. So we have people that are, still invested in Cardano. We broke out of the all-time high from 2017, but the 2021 bull market, Cardano got to $3. So between now, wherever Cardano's at, and, $3, you're going to have sell pressure, and you don't see this in new cryptos like Ton. Ton doesn't have price action from 2021, so there is no resistance. So I'm very bullish on new cryptos in their first cycle, and we'll continue to move on to this, go through this more, and I'll break it down. T-shirt, what you got?
Yeah, so those cryptos that were just shown, those are not the stale cryptos. Those are just showing that over time, coins that make it into the top 10 don't necessarily stay into the top 10. right? And so what we're going to try to identify and help you all sort out is what are some coins that maybe you're hodling from previous bull cycles that you are optimistic on. Maybe you're watching YouTube channels that are still pumping a coin, or you're subscribed to a Twitter account that's still saying that a coin is a good buy. We're going to show you objectively, and you ultimately do whatever you want with your finances, obviously, but we're going to kind of make an argument of why coins that are still being pumped by other influencers and by the space in general may not actually have your best interest in mind. They may be trying to convert you into their exit liquidity, right? So that they can sell their bags to you and try to at least break even on projects they've been holding. So let's get into those stale coins as well. So let's check them out.
All right. So disclaimer, I don't want anybody to hate me for, this list that I've already started. I was up until almost midnight last night, putting this list together, but this is, verifiable data. I look at numbers and I try to remain as unbiased as possible. So we talked about legacy cryptos. These are cryptos outside of their first bull run.
Can you zoom in on that? Can you make
yes,
that bigger?
I can.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go here.
There we go.
That look a little better. All right. So we got legacy crypto top 10. These are all cryptos that have been in the top 10 and that are no longer in the top 200 anymore. So we know Terra, what happened to Terra last cycle with UN, what was the stable coin? UST? Yeah, UST and Luna. So there was an algorithmic stable coin that was built on Luna and about $40 billion worth of liquidity wiped out within, I want to say, a couple of weeks. So Luna went from, a top 10 crypto to basically worth nothing. And that was just through the exploit of just people that are smarter than developers, really. Smart contracts are designed to allow a process to happen without a third party being able to stop it. And that's both good and bad. We've seen Solana, taking their network offline whenever it gets attacked maliciously by bots. Sometimes centralization can be a good thing. In the event of Terra, they didn't have centralization at all. It was a decentralized project, and it wiped itself out due to that. You have IOTA, Dash, and NEM. These were 3 projects in 2017 that are no longer in the top 200. And then here's some tokens that are dying. There's a couple other tokens that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to hurt feelings, so I kept it very brief. You have Polkadot, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Monero. So, some of these projects are different than others. I'm still fairly, I'm pretty neutral on Polkadot, but numbers don't lie. Polkadot was once number 8 and is currently number 18, I believe, in market cap. So it is slowly dwindling outside of the top 20. You have Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Monero, who have all been in the top 10 as well, and are no longer. I don't even think any of these are in the top 30 anymore. Litecoin maybe. Actually, Bitcoin Cash is up there as well, but Monero definitely is slowly going away, and this is really due to competition. So we think of Litecoin as the scalable Bitcoin. This is what you would use at the mom and pop shop or the coffee shop when you're buying crypto. You need something that's scalable, fast, and cheap. Bitcoin we know is not scalable. You only have, I think, like 7 transactions per second on Bitcoin. It wasn't really designed to be too scalable. I mean, it was a peer-to-peer, crypto. So scalability was definitely part of it, but we're looking more at decentralization, storage of wealth at this point for Bitcoin. So Litecoin, now you're having to compete against Caspa and the likes of these new cryptos that are much faster, much more scalable, more decentralized. And a lot of people don't like to hear these things because they get rich off of these cryptos, and they forget that their biases can play against them. And I know this because last cycle I was heavily invested into Cardano, and I did extremely well last cycle on Cardano. I was buying it, around 15 cents or so. And I rode it through the bull market, and I sold a lot somewhat close to the peak, and I held some of it down through. I bought a little bit in the bear market, but that being said, we have some dying projects. And I think it's worth keeping our eyes on these. I'm not saying they're dead.
Yeah.
What you got, T?
Well, I was just going to say, I think of this list, okay, there you go. There's Cosmos. So I was interested because if you listed Polkadot,
Hmm.
and I would just say, well, where's Atom? Where's Cosmos? Because those are like directly competitor coins. Trying to go for that interoperability play. That
Hmm.
you could argue some other crypto L2s have, or I'm sorry, L1s have actually kind of taken in stride that mission to be interoperable and provide interoperability. But I would say that I wouldn't count them out just yet. Polkadot and Atom, especially Polkadot. I think that there's still a pathway for them to be successful, right? That just needs to happen, right? Then they
Hmm.
need to make that argument known. So I wouldn't count out Polkadot quite yet as dead. Is it dying? I mean, it's like you said, the numbers don't lie. It was in the top 10, now it's not, right? So that's definitely something to consider. I agree with the rest of these. I think Monero is one of those where it will probably never die as long as it's one of the most popular security tokens,
Hmm.
privacy tokens, I should say. But it's not mainstream. There's not a lot of mainstream use for it, at least right now. Think that could change, right? But I think it's a pretty slim possibility that that will change. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the other notable cryptos dying list here.
All right. And again, for those new tuners in here, those that just tuned in, it just means that I have my eyes set on them. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be worth anything. And here's some other cryptos. The difference between the four that I just mentioned and these have not made it into the top 10, at least from what I last remember. I took a snapshot of 2017, November time period, and that's what I referenced in the last tab that I just talked about. And none of these were on that list, but maybe Polygon and Algorand have been in the top 10. I think Hedera did make it into the top 10 at one point, but I would have to go back and look at the actual dates, and I'm not sure exactly when. But here's a couple other projects that I definitely have my eye on. They got close to the top 10, and they have been slowly dwindling away. You have Polygon Matic. You have a project that was Bitcoin's first move, or Ethereum's first mover in terms of scalability options. Currently, you have OP, you have Blast, you have Base. They're starting to create their network on scalability. You have Mantle and many other scaling solutions available currently for Ethereum. And there's many more that are currently coming out as well. You have Starknet, the list goes on. Layer twos have not performed too well. So Matic now has competition, and it has the stigma of layer twos not performing too well this cycle, other than maybe like Optimism and a couple others. XLM, a lot of people from the XRP community also invest into XLM. I actually like both projects. I'm just not invested into either of them because I invest for price action. XLM and XRP, both solid projects, but I need to see these things move up and not down in terms of market cap performance. Hedera, Hedera was a very scalable solution last cycle. It's not a bad project, but the thing is, like, you have a kind of what's similar to like you're directed at a cyclic graph. So what Caspa is designed to do, what some of these other projects that are much more built out currently. I mean, Hedera is a little bit more built out than Caspa because it's been around longer, but you have the author of the technology behind Caspa. So that's what Hedera is having to compete against. You have Algorand, again, at last cycle, is very competitive, scalable. It was cheap, but you have much more better alternatives. Quant, you have Gala and
You're flying
BSV.
through these, man. Here, let's go back because I've got some thoughts on Hedera, and it looks like other folks do too. Let's hear it
Okay.
from Justin Damron. He said, H bar is being used by big banks. Doubt that is all out. It will pump this bull run, but I don't recommend long-term hold. That's what Justin Damron thinks. So, I don't. I
Okay.
think my opinion is somewhat in sync with his. I mean, so something like H bar is unique because of the hash graph, like Crux said. It's a little bit different from a block DAG, which is what is more popular these days with newer coins like Caspa, but it is different from a blockchain, and that's the innovative kind of fresh kid on the block type of appeal to investors that Hedera enjoyed in the previous bull cycle, right? And so I think with this coin, there could potentially be a resurgence. And let me make clear, all of these coins on this entire spreadsheet will likely have a push higher, right? Quite a bit higher in some cases, like HBAR and Atom and Polkadot. I think those will have quite a bit of a participation in the bull market, right? But they're also going to be some of the first to sell off because whales know that these coins are not currying investment anymore. They're not bringing investors in, like say a internet computer or a Caspa or other coins that you see in the top 20 right now are. And some of them are new and some of them are from past cycles, right? Ethereum is an excellent example of an altcoin that has just steadily grown and convinced the market that it is dominant. Now it has the advantage of being an incumbent and getting that, second mover advantage, so to speak, really first mover advantage if you think about it from, a blockchain that you can build on. But kind of bringing it back to Hedera, it had a really good, differentiating factor, and that's that it was different from a blockchain, but served the purpose of a blockchain. It was just faster, right? The other thing that HBAR has going for it is its board, right? It has a lot of really big partnerships, companies like Boeing, Google, and Ubisoft, and others, right? But just because you have those partnerships doesn't mean that you have the gas to go somewhere, right? So they have to convince the market that they're ready to do something big. Now, another thing to consider is that all of these coins may have locked and loaded a big PR campaign that they're just waiting for the right price level in Bitcoin to reach, like 100K or 120K or something like that. And then they're going to release these aggressive PR campaigns. They're going to release a new product that nobody knows about. So that's also something to consider too. When we're talking about them being stale, that's just it. They're stale, right? They're not completely dead. I mean, the ones that, Crux, if you scroll up, the ones on the list, like Terra and Dash and NIM, those are dead, right? They're not coming back. IOTA, I'm not exactly sure. I think that one might have a chance, but if you put it in dead, I trust you. But the point is that don't underestimate too the fact that these guys, all of these coins, can literally print money in most cases. Now that doesn't mean but what they're going to do is debase the value of the coins, obviously. But they can print money, so they can pay for marketing campaigns. They can, and in some cases, they actually have a new product or a new service or some kind of innovation that they're marketing that's actually going to be compelling. So keep all that in mind. I still think that the coins on these lists are not in a position to compete with Ethereum, right? Which is ultimately what most coins are trying to do. I think Polygon might be the exception here, but it's kind of the one that everybody's looking at and being like, why are you not moving? What is the problem, Polygon? And that's why it's on this list. So I wanted to jump in there on Hedera, but maybe we could pick it up with Cosmos and keep going.
All right. Yeah. Also with Hedera, earlier this cycle, we saw a lot of price action, flood into Hedera whenever they announced their BlackRock. I think something leaked where they had a partnership with BlackRock. And I think it pumped to 20 to 25% in a 24-hour period, which for a large cap or a medium cap at that time is a lot of liquidity, over, $100, $200 million just pumped right into it. I don't want to see exactly a crypto that relies on one partnership to really carry itself. And again, Hedera, I'm pretty sure has been in the top 10 last bull market, and I'll be surprised if it's still even in the top 60 at this point. It's just slowly dwindling away. So Cosmos, you have another interoperability play similar to Polkadot. This one did not, from my knowledge, make it into the top 10. Now, with interoperability in particular, you have a lot of plays that are a little bit more efficient. So Cosmos, a little different. You're looking at the Internet of Blockchains, as opposed to like what Polkadot is doing with parachains. Cosmos interoperability play, you have something like Injective that you're having to compete with, Wormhole, Pendle, some of these liquidity plays that are definitely taking share away from these markets. Polkadot originally was designed to allow you to be able to spend your USDC from, let's just say, Ethereum network easily with Solana or just being interoperable, not just liquidity, but everything Web3, just
Mm-hmm.
making these ecosystems just compatible with one another. Now, at this day and age, we're in the fastest evolving, you know, the fastest evolving sector, cryptocurrency, where every 4 years you have a completely different market. And I talked about the different cycles earlier, and somebody in chat actually mentioned XRP and Cardano. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about these real quick before I move back on to those. So, for those that weren't here earlier, this was a 2017 top 10 cryptos. You got Monero all the way through Bitcoin as the top 10. There's only 4 that remain currently that are in this 2017 top 10. Now, here's a 2021. It's actually 12. You got 2 stable coins. I went ahead and added 2 more. So you have XRP from 2017, you have XRP from 2021, and you still have XRP in the top 10. So I would not say that XRP is dying. I will say it has been like a stable coin. The thing is, the community has propped it, and they have not exactly sold off all their XRP. Most of the selling pressure was actually done more by the developers and the team over the years. So XRP has proven to be strong. I don't hold any just because I want something to go up and not sideways. And then same thing with Cardano. You have something that's in the top 10 from 2017, something in the top 10 from 2021, and something that's still barely currently in the top 10. So, technically we could say it's slowly possibly dying, but it hasn't shown too much negative price action for me to say Cardano itself is dying. Plus, I'm very bullish on their infrastructure and how it differs from a lot of other ecosystems currently. It's one of the most decentralized networks. Just tons of just different scaling innovations like Hydra, and I'm fairly bullish on Cardano as a network. I just personally don't own any due to the price action. And going back to this list, so we have Algorand, we have Quant, So Gala, if gaming does pick up, I think Gala will do fairly okay. Gaming, just like all these other niches, it's quickly evolving. We had something like Alluvium just taken off last bull market, and it's nowhere to be found currently.
Yeah.
It made itself. Go ahead.
Well, it's unfortunate. You make a really good point, Crux, and this is something that folks who've been experienced in crypto know, is that crypto moves fast, right? A narrative that was really trendy in the bear market, like gaming, folks were really getting over invested, including myself, into gaming. I had to quickly identify, okay, this is not gonna do well, right? Sometimes the evolution, that quick evolution that we talk about in industries that's hyper pronounced in crypto, sometimes that evolution is to the downside. It's not that one coin beats the rest; it's emerges and beats the rest. It's that the entire narrative kind of loses steam, and that's what we've seen in the case of gaming for sure this cycle. Maybe that'll change though, right? In the same way that ChatGPT came out of nowhere and pumped a bunch of AI coins and AI stocks, right? There could be something similar where, Fortnite developers Epic announced some kind of AI compatibility, and they're integrating NFTs in a big way. There could be, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, I'm saying it could, and then that would jumpstart the GameFi narrative again. But as of now, I don't want to be in even the best gaming coins like Beam or Axie Infinity or the other one you listed there, Crux, just because it's in a losing narrative. And again, Gala, yeah, and again maybe that changes, but I just don't think that that's going to be where I put my bags. Now I'm seeing a trend in questions. I'm seeing a theme in questions, so we'll get to that in just a second, which is, should you sell these if you have them? Should you sell them for a loss? We're going to address that question here in a minute, but let's keep on trucking here. Crux.
All right. I do think I hit this list pretty well. I see a couple people. So El Thoro is saying, do you think these can still 3 to 4x? So the dead projects, no. I think those are kind of, maybe a couple of them could, but within the dying projects, I actually think all 4 of these will probably outperform Bitcoin from this point. That's not saying too much, because I'm thinking Bitcoin from this point maybe does a 3x, maybe a 4x. That would be very nice. That's saying if we do go to quarter 4 next year, which My projection is about $200,000 for Bitcoin by Q4 of next year. Now, that being said, these other notable cryptos, almost all of these will probably still 3 to 4x. Polygon, I think will. XLM, I think will. Hedera, Cosmos, Algorand, Quant, Gala, BSV. I think all of these will at least 4x from here. Gala maybe not, and that's just if gaming does not figure out what it's doing. We know gaming last cycle did extremely well. We know AI did not do that well last cycle. So we're starting to see different trends in this cycle than the last cycle. Typically these things rhyme, but they don't repeat. And we're already seeing changes this cycle, like ETF adoption, new all-time high before Bitcoin halving. Like this cycle, it looks quite a bit different than the last cycle. But we're using what we have, this data that we have, to see what we can do to set ourselves up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah, which brings me on to my next point. You want to go ahead and share my screen?
Absolutely.
Teacher?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's do that.
All right. So I'm not going to zoom out too far. Actually, let's zoom in now to scroll down. How about that?
Nice.
So these are the top 100s cryptos by market cap that are in their first cycle. And I want people to understand, like, people think legacy cryptos, they've been around for a long time. They're going to have the mass adoption. They're going to have the market cap behind them. But I'm here to show verifiable data that that is not true. Crypto, again, is a very fast evolving sector. And here are 30 different cryptos in their first cycle that are currently in the top 10, or top 100, sorry. We have Ton, Sui, Aptos, Tau, Pepe, Caspa, WIF, OP, Mantle, Arbitrum, White Bitcoin, Say, Bonk, Popcat, Pyth, Tia, Jupiter, Ondo, WorldCoin, Brett, Fast Token, Core, Wormhole, Beam, Arrow, Knot, Ton, Athena, and Starknet. Now, if we go further to this, there's 10 other option plays that are in their first cycle. These are like stable coins, or like Ethereum plays on Ethereum to help with staking, these kinds of things. So there's 40 out of 100 cryptos that are currently in their first cycle that are in the top 100. And I think this is going to continue to go up. Wow. And by the end of this bull market, I'm thinking we're having 4 out of 5 cryptos that are in their first cycle that are going to be in the top 100. So to me, as an analyst, that means I need to be in the hot, trendy things. Legacy coins are not exactly competitive in the most fastest evolving, sector.
Yeah, absolutely. So Crux, this brings us to the question, the theme of the chat right now, which is, should I sell? So here's the shining. Let me show you all the shining star of what you should have done. Right. This is Zachary Martin. He said, owned 3 of these a year ago, referring to the dead or dying projects. Owned 3 of these a year ago and swapped them all into Chainlink and Render. It panned out well. Right, so that's what I did as well. I had a bunch of gaming tokens, and I had some older tokens like from previous cycles that did well. I identified early on, and we talked about it in our Discord, and we talked about it on YouTube, that we were swapping those out, right? And that would have been the right thing to do, is to probably around January, or even late 2023 or January of 2024. That would have been the time to swap out these legacy coins and for optimal gains for bigger names like Chainlink or Bitcoin and Ethereum, or up and coming names like Caspa and others that you just listed there. But the reality is that there's also this question here. Let me see if I can find it in the chats here. On Bess FT said, IDK, if it's still smart to sell those at a loss. To be honest, though, I don't know. Should I sell them at 60% loss or just let them ride out? So, Crux, I think that there's really 2 ways to answer this, right? The best thing to have done, if you can go back in the past, is to just sell all these for Chainlink or Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? To get on a better ship. Right. But the reality is that a lot of people that tune in to shows like the Investing Bros, they have day jobs, right? They don't sit there and just monitor the charts, monitor market caps like you and I do, Crux. So they don't have that advantage. And that's, I think, a lot of the value that we bring here in the Discord. But you can go in there and you can ask questions like, is this a good coin to keep holding or not, to try to get ahead of it? But I think we're in a different place in the market now, right? If you're at a loss, you're going to sell and you're going to take a loss. Now, there's some ways that you can actually take advantage of those losses from a tax perspective. If you want to learn more about that, jump into our Discord and ask about tax loss harvesting, or go ahead and search that up on Google. But if you're at a loss, I think there really is two equally good arguments: is to hold it, because some of those coins, it depends what it is, right? If it's a really old dead coin, like Luna, right, or Terra, then you're better off selling it, right? But if it's a dying project, like Crux identified on that list, you may actually be better off just holding it and selling for a break even or selling for profit. But the reality is that I would say selling for break even or selling for profit, holding it, waiting it out, is as good of an argument. It's as good of an option of going ahead and swapping now for a loss, right? If you're going to swap it into a good project. But see, that's the tough part. So there's two tough parts with either of those options. With option A of waiting it out and hoping for a 3 to 4x, is you have to time the top, right? You have to try to get it up there, and then your greed takes over when you start to get to that 2 or 3x, and you just want to keep waiting when you really should just sell at break even from the principal you initially invested. The other option is tough though too, because what do you swap into it today and take the loss, right? So I think though that swapping it today, taking the loss, has two advantages, which is A, you can find a good coin, right? In my case, I would say, Caspa or Bitcoin would be great to just go ahead and swap. Not financial advice. Bitcoin would obviously be the more conservative way to go about it, whereas Caspa would be like, the more aggressive way, right? But Caspa was the top performing crypto of 2023. And, it's not going to completely fall on its face this cycle. It may not be the top performing crypto 2024, but it's like a medium risk, high reward. So, and one of the best risk to reward coins to swap into if you have any of these crusty, old, stale coins still in your bags. Now, another thing to take note here. Well, Crux, I want to hear your thoughts on those two options. Option A of just holding it through and trying to time the top, of selling an H bar or like a Gala, or do you just go ahead and swap it today? I want to get your thoughts on that.
All right. Yeah. You want to go ahead and share my screen real quick?
Absolutely.
I'm going to quickly run through for the people that are just now tuning in. So we have these dying projects: Polkadot, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Monero, Polkadot, XLM, Hedera, Cosmos, Algorand, Quant, Gala, and BSV, that have slowly been dwindling away outside of the top 100. Now, if you own one of these projects, me personally, I'm swapping it out like as soon as possible. We talked about tax loss harvesting. What this means is, if I sell at a loss, I'm able to push that against the gains that I make in crypto. So if I have Caspa this year and I sell it this year and I made a profit on my Caspa, but I got a loss on my Polygon Matic or one of those other cryptos, I'm able to write those off against my gains. So for tax, loss harvesting incentives, I definitely would sell today or as soon as possible. And here's the reason also why. So 80% of the price action happens from January to about November, as long as we're on that 4-year cycle. So if I'm able to get out of my Polygon currently, which I think may do like a 4x from here, possibly maybe a 5 or 6x, I don't know. But I know something like Sui, if it's able to do what Solana did last cycle, which Solana got to about 85 to 90 billion in market cap. Sui's currently at about 5.5 billion in market cap. So you're looking at something close to, an 18x from here. I'm not going to hold Polygon over Sui. To me, that's just crazy. We have almost all of these tokens on this list that are currently in their first cycle that are in the top 100. I think these, for the most part, are better options to hold than all of those other dying projects. I can just close my eyes and throw, a dart at this, and let's just say it lands on Pyth. I think Pyth is a better hold than, most of those dying projects, or even Ondo or Fast Token or Beam or Arrow. These are all projects that are showing momentum, really not much price resistance going to the upside. they're somewhat closer to the all-time highs. Actually, almost all of them are closer to the all-time highs than Matic and Cardano and these other legacy tokens that I just talked about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's actually better to go ahead and sell at a loss. Me personally, I'm selling all of those coins at a loss, and I'm buying back in on these. So I'd say swapping, not so much selling. Selling is more like I want to try to time a rebuy back in. For me, I'm just swapping my Polygon, putting it into Sui, or swapping my DOT and putting it into, let's just say, Toncoin.
Yeah.
These are
So
the trends I'm looking at. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so there's a good point being made here by Marv Screech, uh, and I was that point is you just don't want to swap into something like Sui because it's already run up. Chainlink, however, is down. Chainlink is what you want to swap into if you're going to sell soon. He also said this Chainlink is dipping. It could come down to $7 or $8. Swap into Chainlink, bros. Chainlink could hit $80 conservatively. So yeah, no, that's essentially right. Not financial advice, but here, taking a look at my screen, you can see this is Chainlink
Mm-hmm.
in 2024. So yeah, you can't see. It's kind of hard to see the time frame there. Here, let me see if I can show this a little bit better. There we go. So my little factoid elf is in the way. Let me move him over. So yeah, so this is Chainlink in 2024, right? This baby has pushed up all the way to $22.70. It's now half of that, right? And this is a coin that I have high conviction in. A lot of smart crypto investors have high conviction in. If you zoom out, we'll go to the weekly chart. That's the monthly. We'll go to the monthly chart. You take a look at what gain potential there is here for this one. And this is just to all-time highs. This isn't to 24 bull market highs, which should exceed
Mm-hmm.
the old all-time highs. 400% from live price. That's actually a pretty nice round number for today's live stream. That's funny. But yeah, so you do want to try to time these swaps with coins that are actually down. So from the local high there from Chainlink, it's actually down 53%. That makes sense because it's half of 20, right? So whereas with a coin like Sui has a lot of promise. It's really hot, and for good reason, right? I think it's past at this point in its hype cycle. I think it's past the test of just being hype, just being paid marketing. I think there was a little bit of that, but I also think that this has been an organic push. But take a look at this. Look at the contrast. This is high. This is really high. It's contesting its previous highs here from March. What do you want to do? You want to buy low, sell high. So swapping into Sui, while it's a strong project right now, and I think it probably will continue to be very strong and outperform a lot of other cryptos in 2024. It's not Chainlink right now. Chainlink is in the buy low, sell high category, whereas Sui is in that buy high, sell higher. Again, when we're talking about the gains that these coins can do, whether it be Sui or Chainlink, it may not matter, right? But if we're talking about optimizing gains, Chainlink is a better buy than Sui, and Marv Screech is making an excellent point with these chats. So we really appreciate you tuning in here, Marv. But what do you think about that, Crux?
Yeah, so me as an investor, I just look at what I think it can possibly get to and where it currently is. So if Sui is currently 5.5 billion, and again, I think it can get to what Solana did last cycle at 90 billion, that's still that 18x I just talked about. So even if I bought today at $2 or whatever it's at, that's still an 18x. And a lot of those dying cryptos, I didn't put Chainlink on there because I don't think Chainlink is dying, but I don't think Chainlink would do an 18x. Maybe it could. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I'm just saying where it currently is and where I think it can possibly get by comparing it to other cryptos, and how high it can get on that top market cap list.
Yeah.
So
let's keep trucking on what you have next. But before we do, I had a thought earlier, and I want to just make this clear. We're talking about swapping coins here, and you can go too far with this, right? With the list that Crux provided, I think that there's Polkadot and Atom. I think those are probably the only exceptions to what I'm about to say. But I think that list is a very swappable list. If you're holding those, even if you're at a loss, again, not financial advice, but if you're at a loss, I think that those would probably be worth swapping into names like Chainlink. Caspa's down right now too, or even Sui. If you believe in that project, you're buying it a little higher, right, instead of lower, but it's still going to perform pretty well as long as the bull market outperforms. But swapping can be dangerous if you're just doing it willy-nilly. So here's an example of what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't, because Chainlink and Caspa are down right now, you shouldn't identify that weakness as a reason to sell those for Sui, because that's literally selling low and buying high. That's the opposite of what you want to do, right? In fact, I think a lot of savvy traders, which are different from investors, a lot of savvy traders are taking their profits in Sui and investing in Chainlink and Caspa today. They're selling high and buying low. Okay. But usually, if you're a casual investor into crypto, meaning you have a day job, you're maybe making swaps or DCAs monthly, not weekly or daily, you want to be very careful about getting in your head that you know better than the market and that you should swap a hot coin for another hot coin. I am highly against doing that. I think selling Chainlink for Caspa or vice versa, or Sui for Caspa or something like this, bad idea, right? And I will always say that. It's a little different when a project has been identified as dying or dead, especially dead projects. So I just want to put that in there. You can comment on that if you want, Crux, but we can keep on trucking. And we'll be wrapping out the show here just very shortly.
All right. Yeah. So I actually bought Sui, I want to say like a week ago at $1.98 or so.
Nice.
And within 48 hours, it went down to $1.65. So that's an 18% loss within 48 hours. And Chainlink, and these other cryptos are not going to do that. The reason that it dropped so much is because it went up so quickly. Now, Sui quickly recovered and went to $2.10 and back around $2 now. But, just like he's saying, if you swap into these cryptos, these things can dump very fast and very quick. So Charnel actually just asked why. Okay, so please tell me how you think Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin is dying. So if I look again at the 2017 bull market, Bitcoin Cash was number 3 in market cap. Currently, it's a little bit, I think it's like number 18 or 19. So the way that I look at this is something has been number 3 in market cap. It has lost momentum. Many other projects like BNB, AVAX, etc., have surpassed Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. And now you have these other alternatives such as Caspa that are here to compete with Litecoin. So not only are you losing market cap, you are competing against much more efficient projects. So that was just to quickly answer that question, Charnel. I hope that helps. This right here is a list of, because I don't want to scare everybody and say, if you're holding these projects, you're not going to do well this cycle. I just want to go ahead and show you guys what the performance of the best performing cryptos from the 2021 bull market look like. So we have the Sandbox, Axie Infinity, Polygon, Terra, Phantom, Solana, Decentraland, Dogecoin, Avalanche, and Shiba. And the only coin that's on this list that's a legacy coin is Dogecoin. So Dogecoin was around in 2017, and it also made the best performing list in 2021. What does this mean? So I'm thinking that the best performing cryptos are all going to be the newer cryptos that I just talked about in the last tab. If you're able to find the right ones, you're able to outcompete most of the rest of the market. It's very difficult to do. I would strongly recommend, especially in your first cycle, that most of your crypto is in Bitcoin and Ethereum and other large caps. The longer you're in crypto, you can venture out and deploy a little bit of capital into these kinds of plays. We call that diversification. But so this is just valid proof to show you guys that new cryptos do perform better in bull markets than legacy cryptos. And keep your eye out on the new projects that are definitely coming into play.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, we do have a couple of headlines here, but if you're just tuning in, or if you're watching this after we've wrapped up our chat here on stale cryptos. So Crux, gotta hand it to you. You did a really great job with this presentation. Really some compelling stuff on there. Not everything did I agree with, right? But that's what makes a market, right? If everybody agreed in the market, then prices would be either zero or infinity, right? You can only get a market when people disagree, right? So And that's why Bitcoin's so valuable. That's why it has such a high market cap, because way more people agree that it should be higher than holders of Bitcoin that disagree that it should be valued higher, right? That's ultimately what we're seeing with Bitcoin, and it's a revolution. It really is. It's really, really cool. Well, speaking of revolution, the SEC is trying to wreak havoc and revolutionize crypto through enforcement instead of proper regulation. But Crypto.com files lawsuit against the SEC to protect the future of crypto in the United States. This is after it received a Wells notice. This is yesterday's news, so you're probably hearing it again, but for some of you, you're hearing it for the first time. I went in yesterday on yesterday's live stream at 3 p.m., so you can go check this out much more in depth, and I showed you all of the current Wells notices that are outstanding right now for Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, Robinhood, Uniswap, OpenSea, and more recently Crypto.com, right? So should you be scared? Should you be taking your funds off Crypto.com? It's up to you, right? But historically, these are somewhat routine, and this is just getting caught in the crossfire of a war between the United States financial regulator and a burgeoning industry that is crypto. I also showed you all the open lawsuits, right, between Ripple Labs, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, Bittrex, and Nexo, right? These are all just kind of defining the battle between the SEC and crypto. So this headline here does not send shivers down my spine. It seems to be routine. But if you're newer to crypto, you're newer to investing, you might see this and be scared because you have your funds on Crypto.com. I would just say take them off, right? But not because Crypto.com is bad, but because our partners at Blofin and CoinW are better. And especially in the case of CoinW, you can get a free $100. No. So do what you want with your funds, obviously, but we do have our exchanges that we really like that are Blofin and CoinW. You can find the links for those in the link below. Taking a quick snapshot here of the U.S. elections, November 5th, I do believe will be a significant catalyst for risk assets, including crypto, and Donald Trump currently leading with 53.2% on Polymarket. But that's Polymarket, right? That's not necessarily the truth, but I think it's more reliable than polls at this point. So thank you all so much for tuning in. This has been another kind of more in-depth into the crypto side, into the portfolio management side of crypto that we do here on Wednesdays. If you enjoyed this, man, there is so much more to know, so much more to explore, and we get into it in the Discord. There's links to that in the description below. We have a free option, and we also have the Brolux memberships for folks who are ready to take the plunge, ready to go and try their hand in trading and investing. You can learn about all of that. We've got courses, we've got trading lessons, we've got trading setups, and we have live 24-hour question and answer in the Discord. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and check out the links below for Discord. That is our trading and investing community. Man, Crux, this has been a lot of fun. I think we delivered a lot of alpha. I think a lot of folks enjoyed it. Cat in the Hat, said smash the likes. So hard to disagree with that. The only thing I would add is also consider subscribing to the Investing Bros live show here on YouTube. We have a lot of fun. And usually there's a bearded man who's doing much more in-depth technical analysis and giving very spicy takes on developments in the crypto and investment universe. Before we go, Crux, I've got to get your thoughts here on yesterday's breaking news, which I don't care about and nobody should care about, but unfortunately some do. That is this: that new HBO documentary claims Peter Todd is Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. What do you think about that claim there, Crux?
So at this point, I think Bitcoin's too big to fail. What does that mean? So if Satoshi came alive, his Genesis wallet, moved some crypto, and we've seen markets shake, I do think we'll definitely hit some of those lower levels, maybe 40s, lower 50s. But I think at this point, there's nothing he can really do with 1 million Bitcoin anyway, so he can slowly sell off over time. There's not going to be an OTC or even an exchange that can handle that kind of transaction output. So it's not like he can just dump the market. At this point, I just think it's in too many people's hands. too many people out there believe that Bitcoin, is here to stay, that there's no one single point of failure. So whether it is, this guy Todd, or if it's, any of these other options, I don't think it really matters at this point. At least to the overarching scale, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But to me, it is what it is. Crypto's here to stay. The cat's out the bag. Similar to AI. Once you've OpenAI has showed us what it's capable of doing, you cannot then remove it from our hands. Because at that point we can recreate the product, and that's why decentralization is so good, is that nobody can take it away from you.
That's right. We are all Satoshi. We are all Satoshi. Steve Mesa jumping in saying Peter denies it too. So Peter Todd, the person who HBO alleges is Satoshi Nakamoto, he denies it himself. So, but some are going to say, but that's exactly what Satoshi would do, is he would deny. So, who knows how. Depending on how deep you want to go in the rabbit hole, be my guest. But in today's episode, we've told you all how you should position your portfolio if you are in some stale cryptos, right? None of this has been financial advice. It's all just been scientific advice and fun freedom advice as well. So, and we have nobody to thank but Crux. Thank you so much for coming on and making it happen here. I think this has been a really, really good episode, really enlightening for a lot of folks. Smash the like button if you've enjoyed it. Consider subscribing and tell us in the comments, what did we get wrong? What could we do better with this? And with that, we'll go ahead and jump on out. Today's Wednesday, so we will have bro time after the live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you there. Adios.